Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. It got kind of wild in a hearing yesterday with RFK Jr. being disrupted by screaming protesters yelling, "RFK kills people with hate." We have the details of this story. Border Czar Tom Homan fired back at Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez after she responded to questions yesterday about the potential of being investigated by the Department of Justice for holding a webinar meant to help migrants deal with immigration and customs enforcement agents. And a Michigan Democrat congressman chose not to force a vote on a resolution to impeach President Trump yesterday in the face of certain defeat and objections from his own Democrat colleagues. Finally, the White House announced a $96 billion deal with Qatar Airways, which will give Boeing its largest order ever for South Carolina-made airplanes.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Hey, we're not even officially in summer yet, and boy, Washington is heating up. This week, all eyes are on Capitol Hill, where chaos broke out during a critical hearing on President Trump's health care agenda. Here's what happened. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. shows up to testify before the Senate Help Committee on how his 2026 budget lines up with President Trump's vision. Now, it should be kind of straightforward, right? Conversation about getting Americans healthier, slashing waste in Medicare and Medicaid, and putting taxpayers first. Kind of spending our money in a responsible way. But no, the moment RFK Jr. starts speaking, protesters try to hijack the hearing. They start shouting, screaming, accusing him of killing people with hate. And I'm not making this up. They literally chanted, "RFK kills people with hate," over and over and over until they were physically removed from the building. Kennedy, visibly startled, turned to see what was going on, and this is what took place.
When my team and I took the helm at HHS, we set out with clear goals. First, we aimed to make America healthy again with a special focus on the chronic disease epidemic. Second, we committed to delivering more efficient, responsive, and effective service to over 100 million Americans who rely on Medicare, Medicaid, and other programs. Third, we focus on achieving these goals while cutting costs for taxpayers. We intend to do more, a lot more, with less. The budget I'm presenting today supports these goals and reflects...
The witness will suspend. The committee will come to order. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be tolerated. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be permitted while the committee conducts its business. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room.
Wow, just chaos. Now, this wasn't just heckling. This was organized chaos. 7 people were arrested. And get this, one of them was Ben Cohen, co-founder of Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream, the woke ice cream guys. He was arrested for obstruction, and others were charged with resisting arrest and even assaulting a police officer. Now, let this sink in. A Senate hearing about public health shut down by a mob yelling slander and attacking law enforcement. If that doesn't tell you how unhinged the radical left has become, I don't know what does. Senator Bill Cassidy, the committee chairman, had to pause the hearing and remind everyone that this is not a circus. He said, quote, "Disruptions will not be permitted while the committee conducts its business." Cassidy even quipped, "This was a made-for C-SPAN moment." It was interesting to watch the video because Mr. Kennedy had started his opening statement. Everything seemed normal. And then, bam, just suddenly, these idiots start screaming. And you could tell that everybody in the room, it startled them because it happened so quickly and they were so loud. But let's not lose sight of why RFK Jr. was there and what his message. It was very clear. He said, "When my team and I took the helm at HHS, we set out with clear goals. As you heard him say, they aim to make America healthy again, with a special focus on the chronic disease epidemic. He's committed to delivering more efficient, responsive, and effective service to over 100 million Americans who rely on Medicare, Medicaid, and other programs." Now, I want to emphasize that he's committed to over 100 million Americans who rely on Medicare and Medicaid. There's no discussion about cutting either program, just making it better. And then he talked about how he wants to focus on achieving these goals by cutting costs for taxpayers, and he intends to do more, a lot more with a lot less. Cutting out the waste, but continuing the services to people who deserve to receive the services. Now, this is about reform, it's about accountability, and it's about getting results for the American people. But instead of debate, the left wants to disrupt because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want an honest, educated conversation about the issues. In fact, they just want the disruption. They want the hysteria. I don't know what those people thought they were going to accomplish yesterday. They had to have known, and this Ben Cohen, he had to have known that he was going to be arrested. It's not the first time he's been arrested. More on that in just a minute. I mean, this ties right into what we've been talking about, how President Trump's America First agenda is moving forward piece by piece. You've got the Ways and Means Committee advancing tax cuts this week. You've got the Energy and Commerce Committee pushing back on wasteful Medicaid spending. And now you've got RFK Jr. presenting a budget to make the system work better for everyone, except the protesters who don't want that. They want chaos. They want attention. They want to smear a man who's trying to clean up the mess that their party created. Look, I don't care if you agree with RFK Jr. on every issue. What matters is that he's trying to fix a broken healthcare system. He's trying to make government work for you and me again. And he's doing it in line with conservative principles, less waste, more accountability, and real results for American families, all families. And let me say this. If you're protesting health reform and you think screaming at a Senate hearing is going to stop this movement, you're dead wrong. The American people are fed up. They want their government back. They want sanity restored. So back on Ben Cohen for a moment. Yesterday wasn't the first time Mr. Cohen, the ice cream king, has been arrested while protesting in the nation's capital. In 2023, he was arrested outside the Department of Homeland Security for blocking the entrance to the Department of Justice building in Washington, where he was protesting the detainment of Julian Assange. Ben & Jerry's, of course, is a frequent target of Republicans and conservatives because they slammed the company and its founders, both brothers, over their support of progressive activism and politicians. They're also frequent critics of Trump. They hate Donald Trump, these two guys. Ben & Jerry's has been known for its left-leaning advocacy since its founding back in 1978, and the Vermont-based ice cream maker was able to maintain an independent board of directors to continue its progressive activism even after it sold to Unilever in 2000. One of those moments included a decision by Ben & Jerry's in 2021 that ended the sale of its products to Israelis in the West Bank. Remember this? Which the company refers to as occupied Palestinian territory. This is what these people stand for. That's why I never eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream anymore. Are you ready for this? I dropped over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan. No Ozempic, no shots, no meds. Look, I refuse to rely on prescriptions for life, and you probably feel the same. Joey Hudson here. Here's what Big Pharma won't tell you. Your body already makes GLP-1. That's the hormone that fights hunger. PhD helps your body produce it naturally, faster, and without side effects. With PhD, there's no muscle loss, no rebound weight gain, and no cravings. Just real, lasting weight loss the natural way. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. It takes 5 minutes and shows what's really happening inside your body. You'll walk out knowing how to flip your fat-burning switch. No shots needed. Don't trade your health for a quick fix. You can do this without Big Pharma and without the drugs. Plus 15% off when you fully commit to your program and the PhD Get Results Guarantee. Call now 864-644-1900. Start today. Call 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. So earlier in today's show, we were talking about the radical left disrupting the committee hearing yesterday with RFK Jr. We talked about the Ben Cohen and Ben & Jerry's ice cream being arrested, actually. So here we go again. The radical left, they just can't help themselves. We got another prime example of why their priorities are completely backwards. Let's talk about the latest clash between AOC and one of our favorite straight shooters in Washington, that being Tom Homan, President Trump's border czar. This guy's a law and order, facts don't care about your feelings kind of patriot. And AOC, well, she's doing what she does best. Stoking chaos, playing victim, and bending the law to fit her agenda. So here's the story. AOC held a webinar, a tutorial, essentially, for illegal immigrants on how to deal with ICE agents. You heard me right, a sitting member of Congress helping people dodge immigration enforcement. You can't make this stuff up, can you, folks? So when Fox asked her, Fox News, whether she's being investigated by the DOJ over this, she says, oh, she hasn't really heard anything. Doesn't know if she's even under investigation. And you know what? Mr. Holman said when he was asked about it, as a reporter was following him through one of the corridors of the Capitol, he said, check with the department. You know, hey, if the DOJ says they're investigating, ask them. Don't ask me. And then he kind of dropped the hammer on her. He said simply, I wish you'd just do her job. Here's the exchange between Tom Homan and the reporter.
Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez said that she hadn't heard from the Department of Justice on potentially being referred or whether she's under criminal investigation. Do you have a response?
I have to check with the Department of Justice on that.
Okay. And do you have a response in general to her saying there'd be a problem about whether if Republicans or anyone goes after these Democrats?
Look, you know what? I wish she'd do her job. She's a legislator, right? Why don't you pass some legislation and actually improve this country like President Donald Trump is already doing? I mean, I'm doing my job. Border secure. We arrested 3 times more criminals than Biden did. We're doing our job. She should try doing her job.
Proper punishment for the Democrats who stormed the ICE facility?
I'll leave that up to the Department of Justice.
Do you think Congress should do anything? Should there be a censure? Should bring them up committees?
Yeah.
Don't you just love this guy? I mean, he never shows any emotion, good or bad. He just keeps a straight face, walking down the hallway, answering these questions. I mean, boom, he nailed it, didn't he? Because here's the thing. While President Trump is busy fixing the mess Joe Biden left behind, securing the border, cleaning up the economy, rebuilding American energy and bringing jobs back, AOC is out here hosting webinars to undermine law enforcement, the very people she's supposed to be supporting. Tom Homan, not hesitating. He's doing his job. In his own words, the border is secure, reminding them that they've arrested 3 times more criminals than Biden did. Just saying, we're doing our job. She should try to do her job. He's right, isn't he? And by the way, let's talk about that ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey, where the 3 Democrat lawmakers from New Jersey, along with Newark's mayor, actually joined a protest outside of Delaney Hall. They weren't there to observe or listen. They were part of the crowd. The mayor, Ras Baraka, was arrested. Now the members of Congress are trying to claim that they really were just there for oversight. Yet there's video been released showing that they were more than offering oversight. They claim that they never interacted with the police officers, but there's video that shows different. Holman was asked whether those lawmakers should face consequences. His answer, simply yes. He said they should face censure or lose their committee assignments, and he's absolutely right. And look, I'm not so sure that they shouldn't face more than just losing their committee assignments. If in fact they go to court and they're found guilty of assaulting a police officer, forget they're a member of Congress. In fact, the fact that they are a member of Congress should mean that they should be held to a higher standard of the law anyway. Now, this is where it gets even more ridiculous, though, because AOC gets on Instagram and says, and I'm going to read the quote, "You lay a finger on New Jersey Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, and we're going to have a problem." Now, what does she mean by that exactly? I mean, seriously. A sitting lawmaker basically issuing a threat. I mean, that's how I take it, don't you? Tom Homan, again, did miss a beat. He turned around, laughed out loud before saying, "I'm extremely intimidated." Yeah, he's intimidated by AOC, yeah. Look, let's get real here. We have members of Congress aiding and abetting interference with federal immigration enforcement. And when someone calls them out, they act like they're the victims. And that's what AOC is best at. That's what she's been good at from day one when somehow a bartender from New York got elected to Congress. I guess one way to look at it is, hey, anything's possible, right? It's the American dream. Anybody can be a member of Congress. If AOC can, anybody can. So let me ask you, what would happen if a Republican hosted a webinar helping people break federal tax laws? What if they joined a protest to help someone dodge the IRS or tamper with a federal investigation? Would the DOJ shrug it off? Would the media look the other way? Would they just kind of laugh it off? Of course they wouldn't. This is about accountability. And that's why Holman is working with the DOJ right now to figure out where the line is, because maybe, just maybe, AOC has crossed it. Let me read you another quote from her town hall in Queens. She told the crowd, "I'm using my free speech rights in order to advise people of their constitutional protections. To that I say, come for me. Do I look like I care?" AOC, like so many of those leftist Democrats in the U.S. House, the squad, they think truly that they're above the law. Now, they like to complain and they like to say that Donald Trump thinks he's above the law, but they really do. They really feel that way. I mean, hey, talk tough if you want to, but here's the deal. Free speech doesn't protect you if you're helping people break the law. Am I right? Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com if I'm off base here. I mean, have I misinterpreted what free speech can really do? I mean, this isn't some college protest or an Instagram rant. AOC, you're a lawmaker. You're a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. You're sworn to uphold the Constitution, not help people skirt it, get around it. And don't let the Democrat spin this. They keep saying that the lawmakers had a right to be there. Well, yeah, they did. They had a right to be there. They didn't have a right to get violent. They didn't have a right to cause chaos and disruption. They had a right to visit, but they didn't just visit. They instigated a protest. They joined the protest. They encouraged civil disobedience against a federal agency. That's not oversight. That's not activism. I think it crossed the line. We'll see what the courts say. And let's be very clear here. This isn't just about AOC either. This is about the broader left. They have made it their mission to obstruct law enforcement at every turn. They don't want borders. They don't want ICE. They want open borders and chaos because they think it benefits them politically, I guess. I don't know. I've never completely understood why they think we should have open borders, why they think it's okay for people to flood into our country, especially now that Tom Holman and his group has shown what some of these people are capable of. Some of the people who are here who are murderers in their home country. Why would you want these people here? I don't care what party you're in. Why would you want a murderer in our country walking the streets rather than back in his home country or her home country behind bars after they've been convicted and sentenced? Help me with this. But here's what they're forgetting. The American people, you and me, we want our country to be secure. We want sovereignty. We want law and order. And that's why we're turning back to President Donald Trump. That's why Trump beat Kamala Harris so badly last November. Because that's what he promised us. He promised us in last year's election that he was going to close the border, secure the border, and put us first. And turn our country around. And that's why he appointed people like Tom Holman, right? Tom Holman doesn't play games. He doesn't apologize for doing his job. He believes in the rule of law and the Constitution. And now Holman is fighting like he should fight for our country. So here's the takeaway. We need accountability. We need to take a serious look at all of these radical members of Congress. We need for the prosecutors, the justice system in Newark, New Jersey, to hold them accountable. Forget that they're a member of the House. They created chaos. They encouraged violence. It wasn't a protest. It got violent. And if they broke the law, if they violated their oaths, there should be consequences. You agree? Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. You know, all the attention this week seems to be focused on President Trump's trip abroad. But there's some important work happening in the U.S. House this week as well. Washington is actually buzzing, and not because of the usual hot air. Finally, we're seeing serious movement on President Trump's America First agenda. And I'm talking about his, quote, big, beautiful legislation. You know, the Trump administration has been moving so quickly on all the things that they can. We forget that a lot of this depends on Congress taking action. And they're not known for taking action very quickly, are they? So now the House of Representatives tax writing panel, the powerful Ways and Means Committee, they just wrapped up a grueling all-night session. I'm talking lawmakers walked in to the Longworth building yesterday around 2 o'clock, did not finish until early this morning. Finally, some real work happening in Washington, D.C. So what are they working on? President Trump's massive budget bill, the kind of bill that reshapes priorities. It can rein in some of the bloated bureaucracy. It can slash some of the waste that Elon Musk and those identified. And it helps American taxpayers. The Ways and Means Committee voted 26-19 straight down party lines, to advance their portion of the package. One of 11 committees that are working on this overall plan. Of course, the Democrats tried every stunt in the book, a nonstop stream of amendments, trying to bog things down, trying to force awkward votes, trying to put Republican members in a bad situation to try to make them look bad in front of their constituents, and just basically trying to bring things to a halt. But kudos to the Republicans. They stayed focused. They pushed through. Over at the Energy and Commerce Committee, it got even more heated. Protesters screaming inside and out. Capitol Police arrested 26 people. Some were in wheelchairs protesting Medicaid reforms. Look, I respect anyone who shows up to be heard, but let's be honest here. The left always turns every debate into a street fight, into street theater. They cry about cuts when what we're really doing is cutting fraud. We're cutting abuse, cutting the bureaucracy. So the truly vulnerable get what they need. And we don't have some crooks out there ripping off the American people and taking advantage of programs they shouldn't be a part of to begin with. Kentucky's own Representative Brett Guthrie made it very clear that we're funding over $900 billion in savings, not by kicking people off of health care, but by streamlining the mess that Democrats have built over the past few years. The GOP plan isn't about cruelty. It's about common sense. It's about getting rid of that abuse so that the program survives and is strong and is healthy to help the people that it's designed to help. The Democrats, what do they want to do, though? They want to scare people. They want to scare you. They roll out every sob story they can think of, accuse Republicans of wanting to leave people to die. I mean, it's shameful what they do. Meanwhile, Republicans are focused on making Medicare more efficient, more sustainable, so it'll be there, and more effective. And you want to talk about the drama? Let's move to the SALT deduction debate. That's the state and local tax deduction. Blue state Republicans, they're in somewhat of a bind. On the one hand, they want tax reform. On the other, they're under pressure from high tax states like New York and California to protect these deductions. There's a fiery exchange between Texas Representative Beth Van Doon and New York Democrat Tom Suozzi. Van Doon called Texas a donor state that shouldn't have to bail out high-tax liberal states. Suozzi tried to get personal, pointed out that she's originally from upstate New York. Her response, there's a reason she left. Reason she fled to Texas. The bill raises the SALT cap from $10,000 to $30,000, but that still may not satisfy some of the blue state Republicans. For example, Representative Mike Lawler of New York is threatening to tank the bill if the cap doesn't go higher. But here's the thing. We can't let tax relief for all Americans be held hostage by a few high-cost districts. It's just not fair. It's not smart. Then let's move over to the Agricultural Committee. Again, like I said, there are 11 committees who are working on this big, beautiful package. So agriculture, you guessed it, more of the same tired Democrat playbook, trying to scare the farmers. Republicans propose reforms to the SNAP program, for example. This is food stamps, to cut fraud and to ensure the neediest get help. And what do Democrats do? They accuse Republicans of wanting to starve children. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. There's not a single Republican who wants to see children hungry. They just want the abuse. They want people who are able to work to actually work and buy their own food rather than you and me buying it. Representative Adam Gray actually said Republicans are more worried about somebody getting a meal they don't deserve. Well, yeah. No one should be getting free food they don't deserve because taxpayers shouldn't fund abuse. And it should be simple enough to weed this out if you want to. The problem has been the Biden administration did not want to weed out the abuse. They were okay with it. Give it away. Just keep people happy. Maybe they'll vote Democrat. Well, you and I don't want to waste money because you hurt the people who actually depend on the program when you do this. You jeopardize the sustainability of a program when you have abuse. But here's the thing. Here's the reality. Republicans aren't just slashing. They're investing. They're investing in young farmers, in crop insurance, in disease prevention. They're building resilience into American agriculture so that they can be competitive. And we desperately need this in a world full of uncertainty, don't we? And let's not forget what the whole effort is about. Budget reconciliation. That process lets Republicans pass major legislation with a simple majority. No filibuster, no Democrat obstruction. It's exactly how Joe Biden jammed through his disastrous spending bills. So now it's our turn. We'll use it. We'll use the process. Because President Trump wants this to be a sweeping, as he said, big, beautiful bill. Tax cuts, border security, defense funding, energy independence. This is the kind of legislation that we haven't seen since Trump was in office and started this back in 2017, his first year in office. This is where we really put America back on track. It's very important. The stakes are high. And folks, if your representative's on the fence, call their office. Let them know you want them supporting this budget bill to advance President Trump's programs. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Wrapping up this Thursday show, the art of the deal has a whole new meaning after President Trump's trip to Qatar. It turned into a $96 billion deal with Qatar Airways, giving Boeing its largest order ever for South Carolina-made planes. White House made the announcement yesterday. The order of up to 210 jumbo jets is part of $244 billion worth of economic deals between the U.S. and Qatar agreed to while President Trump was visiting the country this week. The Boeing agreement is for 130 of the 787 Dreamliners that are made in Charleston, South Carolina. In addition to those, 30 777s will be built in Washington State with an option for an additional 50 planes of some combination of the two. This is according to a news release from Boeing. The order breaks 3 records for Boeing. It's the largest ever for a wide-body jet, generally meaning jets with 2 aisles that can carry lots of passengers for long flights. It's the largest for the 787 Dreamliners made in North Charleston, and it is Qatar Airways' largest ever order. Governor Henry McMaster wrote on X, a major victory for Boeing, North Charleston, and for all of South Carolina. Thank you to President Trump for making this investment possible and for continuing to put American manufacturing first. Wow. Don't you know the Democrats just hate this? I mean, this is what winning looks like, folks. Boeing employs about 8,200 people in South Carolina, most of them in Charleston County. It was a big deal years ago when Boeing decided to build this new plant in North Charleston. Some great jobs provided for people in that area. Stephanie Pope, president and CEO of Boeing Commercial Airlines, said in a company release, "We are deeply honored that Qatar Airways has placed this record-breaking order with Boeing, one that solidifies their future fleet with our market-leading wide-body airplane family at its center. The purchase will make Qatar Airways the largest operator of 787 Dreamliners in the Middle East." The airline already operates more than 150 Boeing airplanes, including 777s, 787 passenger jets, and freighters. Since 2014, Qatar Airways has ordered 94 777X planes and 30 Dreamliners, according to data from Boeing. The aircraft will be powered by American-made engines with GE Aerospace. Wonder if the GE plant in the upstate has anything to do with those engines. And the best part of this, too, is the fact that this means that people who work at those Boeing plants, both in Charleston and in Washington State, they're going to have plenty of work for many years to come. This guarantees lots of work in those two plants for years. According to Boeing, producing and delivering the planes will support 154,000 domestic jobs annually and more than 1 million positions over the course of production. Over 1 million positions. 154,000 domestic jobs. This is what Donald Trump said he was going to do, and boy, has he done it in a big way. The company CEO, Kelly Ortberg, joined President Trump and other officials in Doha, the capital of Qatar, for the announcement. The White House said the landmark deal celebrated today will drive innovation and prosperity for generations, bolster American manufacturing and technological leadership, and put America on the path to a new golden age. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham emphasized that this was Boeing's largest ever wide-body and 787 order, dubbing it the deal a game changer for the company and for South Carolina. It's just, when I read these headlines, when this came over the wire and I got the notification, I had to read it twice. Qatar Airways purchase will, just as I was saying, will ensure the Charleston plant has work for many, many years, Senator Graham said in a statement. And it's a validation of the work product coming from the Charleston Boeing facility. He said the Boeing workforce in South Carolina has a lot to be proud of. They consistently work hard and provide great airplanes. You know, I'd love to go down and tour that plant. Never been there. That'd be interesting to see, wouldn't it? The first of Boeing 787 Dreamliners built in South Carolina rolled off the North Charleston assembly line in April of 2012, about 2.5 years after the company chose the site and built their facility. It's amazing. I've been by the facility. I've seen the planes out on the tarmac because it's adjacent to the Charleston International Airport. I've flown in there many times, and you can see the big facility over there where they roll them out and then start test flying. It was, of course, lured to South Carolina by hundreds of millions of dollars worth of incentives approved by state lawmakers and county officials. It didn't go without some criticism at the time. And that's a topic for another day, because sometimes I'm critical about these incentives that are given away, these tax incentives to lure these companies here. But in this case, Boeing works. In exchange, the company promised in the fall of 2009 to invest at least $750 million and create more than 3,800 full-time jobs. To date, Boeing has expanded operations multiple times. In 2013, the legislature provided $120 million more in incentives after the company pledged to invest an additional $1 billion and an additional 2,000 jobs. Last December, Boeing pledged to invest another $1 billion and add another 500 new jobs over 5 years. I mean, this has been a great partnership. And yes, I at the time, I wasn't sure about giving all these tax incentives. Sometimes it works, Sometimes it doesn't, just like we're seeing in the Midlands with the Volkswagen plant, with whatever the name of that company, Scout. So far, that has not been a good experience. Maybe it'll turn around. I don't know. Of course, it certainly has worked out for BMW in the upstate of South Carolina as well. And there were a lot of incentives provided for BMW. The Ports Authority secured, if not all, a lot of that land that the BMW plant sits on now. They went around and quietly purchased the hundreds and hundreds of acres, knowing that BMW was going to build that plant there. And that's provided a lot of jobs. It has changed that area of the upstate. That certainly has worked out very well, too. What do you think about the state and about counties giving incentives to lure businesses to their area? You good with that? Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Text me. You can also leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Just call, leave me a message. And by the way, while you're at MyPillow.com, always use promo code Joey. Mike Lindell has a passion, for everyone to get the best sleep that you're ever going to get. And he's not stopping simply by creating the best pillow. He's created some of the best bed sheets. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for you. And still has a great deal right now. Giza Dream Sheets, any size, any color, just $49.98 when you use promo code Joey. That's right. You can get queens, kings, split kings, cow kings, any size, any color, $49.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4059. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.